Welcome. Thank you for taking time out to view my presentation today. I hope you will find this viewing worth your while. Before we start discussing the role of schools in the 21st century, we need to first clarify the role of school to educate and why educate. Gordon Brown, Prime Minister of Britain, in a speech, he outlined his vision for education and the purpose of education, has clearly articulated why educate. He said, to educate is to form character, shape values, liberate the imagination, to pass human wisdom, knowledge, and ingenuity from one generation to the next. It is education of children used to be the responsibility of the families. Families were to prepare their children to become contributing and responsible citizens. In the Middle Age, public education for children in Europe was also offered by the Church, especially for the preparation of clergy. The task of educating to perpetuate traits and traditions was largely done by the apprenticeship with family elders or master craftsmen through the focus on the mastery of procedures and standards for the trades of education then was to develop the masses so that the moral and religious development and the development of basic skills and traits of the service to the community were attained. In Australia, education by the turn of the last century was legislated as a responsibility of the state. Conflicting agendas between the purposes of education, such as service to the individual, or to the economy of the state, or to the moral control, began to emerge. In the current highly connected world, for all aspects of our lives ranging from the economy to the environment and the government, it is crucial for our schools to hold on to their fundamental role to educate while having the flexibility to change their policy and practices in response to the flux of change. With the development of technology in the 20th century, it pushes the boundary of communication, business practices, governing, and education. The real challenge ahead is not the technology itself, it is what we use it for. With the incessant rate of development compounded by neglect and greed of the 20th century, we are now facing an unprecedented set of problems and issues. These problems and issues must be dealt with a global mindset. Such mindsets needs to be nurtured from a schooling age to ensure that a sustainable future for our Earth. In the late 20th century, the traditional nuclear family units began to break down due to the increasing rate of divorces in the Western world and a number of movements such as feminists and gay rights movement, resulting in a change in family structures. Such a family structure change demands the school system and teachers to change the concepts of family and the policies and procedure in communicating and dealing with families. Furthermore, the curriculum also need to reflect the diversity in family structure. In schools, another aspect of social tension in the 21st century is that the baby boomer, Generation X and Y are now teaching the Generation Z for the first time. Schools need to ensure that Gen Z, who are taught by the boomers, Gen X's and Gen Y's, are not disadvantaged due to the differing sets of values and experiences held by these different generations of teachers. Learning is the growth and development of individuals. Schools need to be great places for all teachers and students so that they can learn. The constant in the midst of change is focusing on investing in the human capitals, the teachers and the students. These two groups of people, central to the school, should be constant foci of the school in any century. The teacher needs to have passions for learning, not just for the disciplines or subjects, but passionate about learning and imparting this passion to the students. The teachers need to be community and corporate players themselves. They are to be learners, designers of learning environment, and evaluators of their effectiveness, researchers, social scientists, and intellectuals in their own right. Hence, the concept in a time of change in our current school system is to recruit good and passionate teachers and invest in the continuous development of these teachers. The students, the future leaders and pioneers, deserve the best from our schools in terms of teachers' quality and the curriculum. The schools need to ensure that the constant focus in curriculum, irrespective of time and period, is to teach the students core values and thinking strategies so that they will interact with others well and learn to mitigate the risk around them. Schools need to continue engaging the community of businesses, government, and parents to form strategic alliances to continue the development of schools so that schools remain viable and relevant to the times of change. Educators need to continue to publicly articulate their priorities to maintain focus on building the teacher competency and the student-centered approach, and seeking ways to set up partnership with various businesses, tertiary institutions, and the government legislative organizations to contemporize the curriculum. In response to the challenges presented in the 21st century, schools need to contemporize the approach of schooling in order to meet the needs of 21st century challenges. Firstly, looking at maintaining a global mindset. Global mindset is needed to deal with the complexity of modern organization, given its geographical, cultural, local, and global demands. Global focus on sustainable development reinforces the need for current and future citizens to have the knowledge to make informed and responsible decisions, as well as the problem-solving capacity to participate in this sustainable society. The educators need to embrace the mindset contemporary to the 21st century. This is a constant in the time of change. In other words, in each century and decades. Educators need to ensure that appropriate mindset is being instilled in the minds of their teachers and students. School curriculum regularly need review and updating since the rate at which data, information, and knowledge creation and generation is exploding at an exponential rate. Hence, school need to be responsive without being irrational or haphazard in their approach, to update and contemporize the curriculum without changing the non-negotiables outlined above. Schools of 21st century should introduce the learner to the power of analogy and metaphor. The curriculum needs to respect and view knowledge as dynamic, not static, and encourages interconnection and studies which jumped across traditional subject barriers. The school assessments needs to reflect what the schools value for the 21st century. Hence, it should be assessing problem-solving and critical thinking skills, ability to collaborate, adapt, communicate, and self-discipline, research and analyze information, creativity, and imagination. It is easy to be carried away by the daunting demand of 21st century for school leaders to rush and make radical changes to school without a clear conviction of the fundamental requirements to ensure that schooling remains relevant. The role of school is ever more critical in the turbulent 21st century filled with many challenges. We as school leaders need to have clarity of the role of schools, have courage and sense of purpose as we provide high-quality education for our future leaders with passion and aspiration.